What is up, guys? Welcome back to the Montana Method Podcast one more time. As always, your host, Nelson Rodriguez Jr., author, creator of Montana Method, coming at you with another live stream Friday at noon. Thank you for tuning in. If you like what we talk about here, if you like our content, subscribe to the channel, comment below, let us know who you want to collaborate with on the channel. Appreciate you guys tuning in. This week, we are going to cover a pretty interesting topic. Ryan Garcia versus Devin Haney. Hell of a fight. Ryan Garcia put up a hell of a performance, and there's many observations I have about what happened in that fight. We're going to touch up on a few things from my perspective, which is always a little different. And we'll talk about a couple other things going on in the world. As always, Elijah, kick it.
I've been out here hustling all my life. Every day we get into it. Really out here in these streets. That's day and night. Like there's nothing to it. When I was going through it, dog, I never got your call. I never asked for nothing, no. But now I want it all. Promise I'ma do it. Came from rags to riches. Rags to riches. Came from rags to riches. Rags to riches. Came from rags.
So Ryan Garcia versus Devin Haney. Ryan Garcia obliterated Devin Haney. The only reason he didn't knock him out was because of the amount of breaks the referee gave Devin Haney. Knocked him down 3 times during the fight, had him wobbled on several other occasions. Ryan Garcia is definitely in a league of his own in boxing right now. Now, what I wanted to touch up, first thing I'm going to touch up on, his strategy throughout the whole training camp, throughout all the press conferences, he was pretending to go crazy and all these antics, and you can tell it really messed with Devin. Like every time they were doing an interview together or whatever, he was always looking at Ryan, trying to figure out what was going on. Is he really going crazy? Is this guy having a nervous breakdown? And that's right. That's something straight out of The Art of War. If you guys have never read The Art of War by Sun Tzu, very good book, very practical to life. I would recommend that you pick it up. Just keep your opponent on their toes. Keep them guessing. Devin Haney had no clue what Ryan Garcia was up to. No clue. So it's pretty wild. Elijah, did you ever read the Art of War?
No, but it sounds interesting for sure.
Yeah, it's a pretty well-known book. Every businessman, CEO, fighter, this is a book that's been handed down over centuries, and Sun Tzu was the greatest leader of his time, military leader of his time back in ancient China, and he left all these principles behind, like teaching you how he became, who he was. And bro, that's something straight out of The Art of War. I read a lot of books like that, like The Art of War and the 48 Laws of Power and 33 Strategies of War. I read these kind of books because people don't understand that life can, the things you use in war and in fighting and in battles, you use them in real life every day. And Ryan Garcia did it I don't know if he was aware of it or not, but he did it perfectly. He had everybody looking way over here. The whole time he was doing something way over here. What a beast. I actually caught the podcast he did with Patrick Bet-David. Bro, he broke it all down and you were just like, dude, this guy he killed it, man. What a genius. What a genius. And on top of that, he was drinking beer every day. He was training, but he was staying up late, drinking beer every day, working on set, like a bunch of other stuff at the same time as his training camp. He's definitely a freak. That's for sure. That's not normal. For people to stay up super late and eat whatever they want, but then still manage to make it to training camp on time and still make it to your boxing match. I was involved in MMA and boxing for a while, and that's not normal at all. It's not normal at all. Devin Haney was he did a straight 8-week or however long training camp, super disciplined, and then he showed up and Ryan Garcia just destroyed him. So it's pretty wild. Every once in a while, you do encounter those freaks of nature that just defy logic, which Ryan Garcia did in this fight. But that's not the norm. I don't think anybody should look at Ryan Garcia and be like, yeah, all right, I could do that too. I could just eat whatever I want and drink like an animal and and knock out the best boxer in the world right now. It's pretty crazy. Do you how familiar are you with boxing, Elijah? Like, do you follow it at all? Or with
I
fighting?
only ever hear about it when
Like
this
when
is like
big fights. Yeah.
yeah, like one match I know is happening is one of the Fury brothers
Yeah.
versus that's happening in like June or something.
Yeah, it's
So I know about that.
Tyson Fury with Usyk for like
yeah.
they're the two world heavyweight champions right now. So that's like a fight that's been everybody's been waiting to watch and see. Tyson
Are
Fury.
they fighting for like the belts that they have?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
so this is gonna confuse you. In boxing, there's different commissions, like different organizations, and each organization has a belt.
Okay.
So in in the heavyweight division, there's 6, or in almost any division, there's 6 different titles, which is super confusing and stupid. But that's how boxing works. It's not like the UFC or even the WWE where there's like one title. There's several titles. There's the IBF, the WBC, the IBA, the Ring Magazine. There's like 6, and then so if I'm not mistaken, Tyson Fury has the WBC title, which is the most legit one. It's green. It's green with gold.
Yeah, I've seen it before.
Yeah, and then Usyk has all the other ones.
Okay.
Which some are legit. Some people see as legit. Some people are just like, yo, that's a fake title, but whatever. So this determines the undisputed heavyweight champion of the world. Like they're gonna have all the belts. So
Oh wow, so it's like a money match.
Yeah,
for
yeah.
real.
It's-
Okay.
no,
okay, okay.
I wouldn't doubt it if it was like the highest paid, like one of the highest paid fights ever. And they've been taking those boxing matches to Saudi Arabia and paying them
Right.
stupid amounts of money that they can't make anywhere else. It's those Saudis, dog.
Who do you think is gonna win though?
That's a good question, bro. Usyk is he's a very technical fighter. He destroyed Anthony Joshua. He put on a clinic against Anthony Joshua. Tommy Fury is also very technical, but he's gigantic and he has a hell of a chin. Like, this guy has got a knockdown I don't know how many times, and he just doesn't stay down.
You mean Tyson?
Tyson Fury, yeah, Tyson Fury. Yeah, it's hard. That's gonna be a hard one. If I have to, like, if you put a gun in my head, something's telling me Usyk is gonna beat Fury, just because with this last Ngannou fight when he fought Francis Ngannou, you saw a chink in his armor for the first time.
Okay.
The only other time you saw him like that was when in the first time he fought Deontay Wilder when he got knocked down. It was like, oh my God. But he got up and he won the fight. So, yeah, let's see. I'm leaning slightly towards Usyk, but I don't know. I don't know who's going to
It's
win.
boxing. Anything can happen.
Anything can happen. And that's Tommy Fury has that in common with Ryan Garcia, that he's a freak show. Like, he's another one of those guys that he eats like shit and he looks fat as fuck and he doesn't look like he's in shape, and then he shows up to the fight and he just dominates dominates him, like embarrasses him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Not even dominates him, embarrasses him. Like it's not even close. So back to Ryan Garcia, he basically admitted on that PBD podcast, he admitted everything that he did. Yeah, I was pretending to go crazy. I can't believe you guys thought I was going crazy for real. I had this all planned. It was all orchestrated. I'm this big draw fighter. He's making like $50 million off this fight. Some ridiculous amount of money.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. So what I like about that is the fact that he had everybody fooled, and it worked. It couldn't have gone any better.
Mm-hmm.
In spite of the referees like giving all that time to let Devin Haney get up and all that shit, like he still won. It's nuts. So ultimately, Ryan Garcia can write his own destiny at this point. He can do whatever the hell he wants, which is pretty cool. But this moment, I you know what I think about when I see boxers win these big fights and that kind of stuff? How much pain and frustration led up to this point? Like, how many moments did they have where there was no proof that they were ever going to succeed in fighting, right? There was no evidence that they could ever even have a shot at being a world champion or any of that stuff. It was just a dream, you know? Like, it's just an interesting thought to me to see this guy on this grand stage, and a few years ago, he was just a regular guy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if you know this, he actually trained Jake and Logan Paul how to box. Like, he taught them how to box. Not taught them, but he trained them for a while.
Yeah, like the basics.
Right. And when they were training with Ryan Garcia, Ryan Garcia was not, he wasn't a nobody, but he had just won like one big fight.
Right.
So it's crazy to think that, and look at where the Paul brothers are now. So it's crazy to think about. And then like that's all Jake Paul does now is box. So it's crazy how all that got put together. But yeah, man, it's interesting how personal branding and social media and like building a storyline has changed the fighting world, and it's changed the business. It's changed everything. That's so universal. That's not just the WWE and fighting and boxing and UFC. That's everything. You know, people they use social media and podcasting and all this stuff to build a hype around their brand or around what they're doing.
Yeah.
And it's pretty cool how having that art, like learning how to promote. Oh my God, man. Learning how to promote is an art, dude.
Right.
That's taught me how to make money. Like learning how to promote a product or promote myself, promote an event. If you think about it, all the guys that are making the biggest money in the entertainment industry, it's because they're really good at promoting. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like Conor McGregor.
And you said it earlier perfectly, where it's like the storyline.
Yes.
Because sometimes people care more about the build-up than the actual fight itself. If you can get someone hooked into your product, even if your product is shit, you still got their eyes.
Bro.
So that's why it's like in WWE, it's a very common thing where, because people know it's scripted, but if you can build up your match good enough and get more eyeballs, then the product doesn't even really matter. Sometimes the promotion is 90% and the fight is 10.
Yeah. And that's something I take my hat off to the WWE for, because everybody, they had, years ago, they admitted that it was scripted, which we kind of knew it was planned.
Yeah.
But throwing people through chairs and falling off a 30-foot high steel cage, I don't care how planned that is, someone can die.
Yeah. People have died.
People have died. So no matter what you have to say about wrestling, oh, it's fake. Listen, you can't fake getting hit by a steel chair. You can't fake bleeding. You can't fake falling on a pile of thumbtacks. You can't fake getting thrown through a flaming table. You can't fake those things. So no matter how much of it is orchestrated and planned and pull punches and all that stuff, there's a lot of things there that the things that wrestlers do that they put their body through, there's no other sport that does that.
It's an art.
Definitely is. For sure. The story, man, storylines. That's everything. Think about it, bro. Like, you know what I think is funny? If you're good at promoting, you're a good storyteller, you could be a nobody and blow up on social media.
Mm-hmm.
We were just talking about this before the podcast. Now that I'm in the social media space and I have a podcast and all this stuff, it's crazy to me how people that just have a handful of followers or whatever, they all of a sudden think they're somebody. It's like, oh, yeah, I have 20,000 followers. How many followers do you have? No, you have 1,000. Yeah. It's like, bro, how much money do you have in your bank account?
Exactly. That's the number that really matters.
Like, you live with your mom? You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like, what are we talking about here? You're like 35 years old. You live at home with your parents. Obviously, I'm not talking about anybody specific, but these are the example. This is common in social media. It's people who are nobody in reality, and because they have a few followers, it's like, oh, yeah, nah, because, no, I don't know, because
you don't.
You think people know who you are. You're nobody. You know what I mean? Like, social media is crazy. It's distorted reality.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Especially nowadays when you could just buy followers. You don't even really have to work hard to get there. You could just buy it nowadays.
Bro.
And make it seem like you're living this lavish life when you're not.
Bro, that's a whole nother... Reality is perception at the end of the day, right? So that's kind of what these people are doing with social media. You know, they take pictures of themselves in their nice clothes or when they're in their nice car one day. You know, I think, again, going back to Ryan Garcia, that's why this worked out so well, because you couldn't get away from his face. His face was everywhere, and he just kept with the plan of building the story, and everybody bought it, and it was fake. It wasn't real.
Yeah.
So social media is definitely powerful because you can portray any story you want. Doesn't really have to be based on reality. It's pretty wild. Yeah. Wrestling. I mean, look at this past WrestleMania.
Yeah.
You know, the storyline that we're able to build, and Cody Rhodes, and shout out to him because the guy's a beast. Like his father, his brother, the legacy. You know, that's different. You know.
Yeah.
I don't care how orchestrated that is. That's a real legacy you're leaving behind. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I don't know where I heard this from, but someone brought up a good point sometime where it was like WWE is the only reoccurring event where it goes with the time. You know, if an event happens in real life, it also affects the WWE.
It does.
So it's like it's something that's scripted, but no matter what, it will change to the time that they're in.
Right.
So that's why it feels more real. You can connect to it more.
100%. And it's nostalgic because when I was a kid, you know, watching Stone Cold Steve Austin and Triple H and The Undertaker and The Rock, that 90s Attitude Era, late 90s, early 2000s Attitude Era, undefeated, bro. Like the matches they had, and it's crazy. That's the only reason I'm on Facebook. I'm never on Facebook, but Facebook always gets me because in that video section where they pull up those old wrestling videos from when I was a kid, they have me watching it all day. Guys, gotta pay bills. You're gonna take a word from our first sponsor. We'll be right back. Ladies and gentlemen, the familiar voice of your host, Nelson Rodriguez Jr., taking a quick detour to talk to you about the best jewelry shop on the internet, Gus Villa Jewelry. Let's be honest here, guys. Jewelers in Miami are super shady sometimes. I've even been ripped off once or twice by one of these self-proclaimed alchemists that ended up being these weirdos who sell you a bunch of stuff that make your neck and your fingers turn black. Let me tell you, after I met my boy, Gus Villa, he elevated my bling game. The Gus Villa team, these guys are more than just jewelers. These guys are magicians turning metal and stone into your next head turner. Trust me, these pieces shine so much you can see them from outer space. Head over to GusVillaJewelry.com, and because you're a Monty, that's right, part of the Montana Method crew, you can use the promo code Montana to snatch 5% off your order. You don't just get hooked up with some shine, you get to have some dough in your pocket. Double whammy. So guys, what are you waiting for? Elevate your jewelry game. Show the world what you got. You got some style, you got some bling, you're all blinged up. Come on back after you do that. We've got more Montana Method Madness waiting for you. Now back to the podcast. Cool. So, and speaking of influencers, Ryan Garcia hates Logan Paul. He can't stand Logan Paul.
Yeah. And
funny enough, speaking of promoting products, he has a whole beef with Prime. You know how Prime is Logan Paul's drink and stuff? For the record, Prime is trash. It doesn't taste good. It has no health benefits. Trash product. That's not my opinion. Go and taste it. And if you like it, I don't even know what to tell you. Let's start there. You want to talk about promoting? Prime, bro. That drink, that is 100% promoting. Yeah, that's like, I think they looked it up. It was like over $1 billion product.
In the first year.
Because KSI and Logan Paul promoted, bro.
Yeah. Promoted heavy.
And, bro, let's take it a step further. In the grand scheme of things, who are KSI and Logan Paul? They're not Michael Jackson. They're not Michael Jordan. They're not Floyd Mayweather. They're not someone who's dominated an industry. They're YouTubers, dog. They're legit YouTubers who just make content. That's what they do. And they've managed to KSI and Logan Paul have managed to each be 20% equity owners in $1 billion brand. Mind you, when you sell a business, you don't sell it at value. You sell it at 2 or 3 times earnings. So if they sold the company today, they'd sell it for $3.6 billion. Okay, so $3.6 billion, 10% of that is $360 million. 360 million times 2. $720 million a pop
Mm,
each
yeah.
because
crazy.
they learned how to promote.
Yeah.
I'm telling you,
Eh,
bro. Promoting
this-
pays big, big money if you master that skill.
mhm.
It's prime energy drink. Ryan Garcia is funny. He's like, he says allegedly for everything, so he doesn't get sued. He's like, allegedly, I heard that, it causes seizures. And then they would Google it. Oh my God, yeah, it's so funny, bro. But that's the point. There's so many products out there that suck. What's
Mhm.
another big product out there that's like that? I'm not even.
Too many.
I can't even. Tubi? Who uses that?
Oh yeah.
Tubi?
Tubi.
Tubi? They were gonna go out. You know what Tubi? Originally, the premise of Tubi was they were supposed to be the. They had a term for it. I forgot, but they only wanted to do like 10-minute videos.
Mm.
So they were supposed to be kind of that short form version of streaming, and it failed. They ended up selling it for.
I mean, the acting on Tubi is terrible. Have you actually seen the acting on Tubi? They put it on TikTok all the time. It's like people like there are the videos on YouTube where people would like do skits and act bad and people would be like, "Oh, this is Tubi acting." Because the acting on Tubi is terrible. Terrible.
That's funny. Tubi's like the little brother of Netflix that wants to like, hey, take me with you to
Yeah.
the basketball game, and the big brother's like, bro, you're too short, you're not old enough. Just you can't. When you get older, we'll figure this out. That's pretty crazy. And now speaking of boxing and streaming, isn't the Jake Paul and Mike Tyson fight that's gonna be live streamed on Netflix, right?
Yup. I think it'll be the first live event on Netflix. It's crazy.
You know where the venue where they're hosting that fight?
No.
It's the Cowboy Stadium in Arlington, Texas. You know how many people that sits?
How many?
100,000 people, bro.
And every seat's gonna be sat.
Every seat is going to be sold in that place. 100%. Like, it's crazy to think about that this might be the highest grossing fight in history.
It actually might, It really might. Because everybody has Netflix too.
Yes.
The whole stadium is gonna be filled. It's gonna be big.
Jake Paul, again, if you narrow it down to one thing, he's a master promoter, bro.
Yep.
Master. He's like, give me a fight with Mike Tyson, and I'll put on the biggest fight in history. Like, it's wild, man. It's just a reoccurring thing in so many. And again, from experience, I've learned this, that it's not what you have, it's how you present it.
Yep.
You know what I mean? We could talk about this podcast right now, and I could present it in a way where, here, I'll show you. So let's talk about it in two ways.
Right.
Yeah, so Montana Method Podcast is this thing I started, almost 2 years ago. I really started it because I kind of had no other choice, and it's been cool. It's been fun, post content. I just hit 1,000 subs. Never thought I'd do that. That's awesome. That's cool. Or I could be like, Montana Method Podcast within the next 5 years is going to be one of the biggest podcasts in the world. I'm going to have every special guest I've ever wanted on here. I'm going to have Martin Scorsese. I'm going to have all the people that have ever played mobster actors. I'm going to have Patrick Bet-David and Joe Rogan. I'm going to have any guest I want within the next 5 years, and it's going to be a top 10 podcast in the world. Look at the difference.
Yep.
In the way I'm talking about the same thing. I'm talking about the Montana Method Podcast. But the things I said and the energy I had behind it and how I described the podcast were night and day. The verbiage, like the way you say things, and more than anything, promoting a big part of promoting is confidence. You have to be confident in what you're saying. If you don't believe in what you're saying, it's gonna seep through. These guys, Logan Paul and Jake Paul, Ryan Garcia, these guys are confident, which brings me to full circle to what I was gonna talk about. Another thing about Ryan Garcia. Yo, did you know that Ryan Garcia bet $2 million on himself?
I heard. I didn't even know you could do that. I didn't even know you could bet money on yourself.
You can. 2 million. His payout was $12 million, bro. He made 10 million. He was a plus 550 or a plus 600 underdog. No.
Wow.
Yeah, plus 600. So basically, for those of you that know nothing about gambling, whenever you see plus or minus, so if it says plus 200, that means you're gonna double your money. Plus 300, triple your money. Plus 400, quadruple. You follow me?
Yeah.
When it's minus, that means so minus 200. That means I have to bet 200 to get back 100.
Okay.
It's the opposite.
All right.
Minus 800 means I have to bet 800 to make 100. So if I bet 800, I get back 900. Does that make sense?
Okay.
That's what that means.
Okay. Yeah,
he was a plus 500 underdog. Devin Haney was a minus 700 favorite in that fight.
Wow.
The moral of the story: bet on you. Bet on you even if no one else is betting on you. Because he who laughs last, laughs loudest. Like, bro, how do you think Ryan Garcia felt? Not just when he almost knocked Devin Haney out 3 times in the fight. Did you see the picture of his jaw? His jaw is broken.
Oh yeah, I saw it. It's like a big bump on the side of his face.
A bump on the side of his face.
Disgusting.
He broke his jaw. How do you think he felt the next day when he drove over to wherever he placed the bet and withdrew $12 million
Yeah.
that he made because he bet on himself? That's the kind of confidence you have to have in your own ability.
Yep.
You got to be willing to bet. Obviously, Ryan Garcia is doing well. $2 million wasn't all the money he had. But $2 million is $2 million, bro.
So at the end of the day, it's still $2 million.
$2 million.
I could change someone's life.
Bro, think about it. For real.
Yeah.
Think about, and you know what's crazy? Something tells me that Ryan Garcia still would have bet on himself even if he was like a broke fighter.
Mm-hmm.
If you put his back against, you know what I mean?
Oh, for sure.
You have to be willing to bet on yourself. Life in so many different situations is just about do you believe? And believing in yourself is it's gonna give you the energy and the to take the action because you have that confidence in yourself and you believe in this so much that you're not willing to give it up for nobody. It doesn't matter who sees it. You have to see it. If you have that vision for yourself, it's gonna happen. And as long as you have that vision for yourself and you believe in what you're doing and what you're saying and the things you're doing, as long as you believe in yourself, I'm telling you 100% of the time, you're going to want to take the action by default. If you don't believe in yourself, if you're not confident, if you don't see that vision, you're not going to take the action.
And you can also see it as, like, if you're not willing to bet on yourself in terms of when it comes to money or time, if you're not willing to do that, then you probably shouldn't even, like, attempt.
That's a great point.
Because, like, if someone said, like, oh, are you willing to put $2 million that you would win? And he goes, like, no, then you probably shouldn't take the fight. So
100%. You should, if you're not willing to bet on yourself, you shouldn't even be in there. Whether it's that business, that if you're a fighter, if you're a businessman, if you're a content creator, if you're not willing to bet on yourself, you shouldn't be doing it. Because I'm willing to bet on me. I'm willing to go into debt. I'm willing to throw things on a credit card. For this podcast, I'm willing to do whatever it takes to keep it going, to take it to the next level. I'm willing to take risks for this podcast because I believe in what I'm doing. And more than what I'm doing, I believe in myself. I know what I'm capable of. What are you capable of? Ask yourself, do you really understand what you're capable of? Most people don't because they settle and they take the safe route and the safe bet. And it's like, man, if you only knew what you were capable of, it's crazy. It really is. Most people settle for this like little, safe.
Yeah.
Do this 9 to 5, and I'll get married when the time's right, and have the kids when the time's right, and I'll buy the house and have the nice little car, and everything is safe.
Yeah.
It's a little safe zone. Little do you know that the biggest risk you can take in life is never taking a risk.
Mm-hmm. And my mom said it. My mom always says this whenever we have to do her podcast. She always says to the person she's interviewing, she goes like, what are you willing to do if you know? It goes like, No, yeah. What are you willing to do even though you don't get paid for it? Is what you do when you don't get paid for it is like how much time are you putting into it? Because no money's coming back to you for a very long time. But even though it's not coming back, are you still putting in the time and the effort, even though it's not coming back?
That's super important too. Because only when you believe in what you're doing and you believe in yourself, only if you're willing to bet on yourself, are you willing to put in work with no results. Because results always take time. Especially if you're starting something brand new and you don't even know how it works. If you're learning something from scratch, that's a whole nother conversation. But that's what it takes. Like, what are you willing to do for free? What are you willing to do? Because, I mean, Ryan Garcia, as an amateur boxer, he made zero money. He used to have to pay money to get beat up. How about that?
Yeah.
Pay money to get beat up. How's that for a perspective on betting on yourself? By the way, Devin Haney beat him as an amateur boxer.
Yeah. Oh, didn't they fight? I saw somewhere that they fought 8 times in amateur boxing.
Yeah. And
I don't know how much who won who.
I think if I'm not mistaken, it's 3-3 now. After it's like 6 fights and they're even.
Okay.
But still, it's a guy who had beat you.
Yeah.
Mind you, amateur boxing is different. I get it. But still, how about that? He bet on himself against a guy that beat him before.
Yeah.
What kind of confidence in yourself do you have to have? I bet on myself. Ryan Garcia bet $2 million on himself to win the fight against a guy that had already beat him. That's the kind of conviction you have to have, guys. Word from our second sponsor. Got to pay the bills, guys. We'll be right back. Alrighty, guys, taking a quick break from the podcast to bring you a word from our sponsor, Christian J. DePaz. Appreciate him for coming through. He offers a phenomenal service. Guys, you know I'm a big promoter of entrepreneurship, owning a company, starting a business, doing your own thing, and chasing your own dreams. But as the old saying goes, it takes money to make money. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about Christian J. DePaz and what he does. He gets funding for new and startup businesses. Christian, tell us a little bit about it.
Thank you so much, bro,
Of course, bro.
for giving us the opportunity to come inside your podcast and help more entrepreneurs start their own business or scale their current businesses. So what we do here is secure funding is that we'll help you acquire anywhere between $50,000 to $150,000 at 0% interest rate business credit, so that you can once again start or scale your current business. So if you come here from our good friend Nelson, there's no other you're coming from, then we'll have him at the podcast and we'll take extra good care of you. With that being said, brother, thank you so much for bringing us on.
Of course, of course. What are you waiting for, guys? Click the link in the bio. And speaking on betting on yourself, there's I was invited to Locked In with Ian Bick. Great podcast. Ian Bick was very hospitable. Appreciate Ian for inviting me. You're the man. And it's funny because most I flew to Connecticut to be on that podcast. Like, I left my state with really no idea of like the trip or what. I figured it out and I went, and now there's a clip on Instagram with like 100,000 views. I was willing to bet on my story. I was willing to bet on myself that the content would perform well. Because you could go on a big podcast and the podcast could do shit. Trust me, Ian Bick has done episodes where they didn't perform as well as they thought they would.
Yep.
And forget Ian. Joe Rogan, Patrick Bet-David, George Janko, Chris Williamson, any big podcaster has done episodes where they didn't do well. In spite of you being on a big platform, that doesn't matter. You don't, like, the platform doesn't make you. You make the platform. Does that make sense?
Yeah, for sure.
Ryan Garcia is the person with the skill to make that fight work. Like, it wasn't the big fight that gave him his big break. He was the one that made the fight big. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's the same. That goes back to betting on yourself. Like, people are waiting for a big break. Oh, when I meet this person, everything will work out. Oh no, when I get this car, when I buy this house, when I get this job, everything's gonna work out. No, bro. It's the other way around. You have to work on yourself and develop yourself to become the person that makes things work. It's not about attaining something and then all of a sudden my life is going to magically change. It's never. It's that shiny object syndrome. I don't subscribe to that. Work on you, and then you become the person worthy of producing the result. That's all it is, bro. Just like a training camp. It's just our training camp in life is lifelong. You know what I mean?
And if we see it from a smaller scale of Ryan Garcia, which is he fooled everybody on the internet, he fooled his opponent, and he won. He bet on himself, because you should bet on yourself. But if we widen our scale and we look back to his previous fight, he lost. So now he has to carry the burden of his loss into his next fight. And even after that, he still bet on himself because he was like, okay, whatever, I lost, but now it's time to get back up and win my next fight.
No, and what's crazy is now he says, now he's That's a good point. So he lost against Tank, right?
Yeah.
Tank made him go to like a super low weight. Tank isn't stupid.
Which people wanted a rematch now, by the way,
yes.
with a rehydration clause and all that.
Yes, 100%. And how Ryan Garcia is looking right now, I think he could win.
Yeah.
But is Tank going to accept the fight at a higher weight class? I don't think so.
If the money's there, maybe.
Maybe. That's a big maybe. You know who mentored Tank, right? Floyd Mayweather. Floyd Mayweather doesn't lose.
Yeah.
Though. He doesn't lose.
Yeah.
He makes sure he puts himself in a position to win, and I'm sure that's exactly what he taught Tank. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you're right, though. Who knows? The money's there. But this Ryan Garcia will beat Gervonta Davis, 100%. And then Ryan Garcia is something else. He says that I fought both of them, and then Devin Haney could beat Gervonta Davis. Mind you, Ryan Garcia didn't look all that good against Tank. He didn't. And he destroyed Devin Haney. And he's telling everybody that Devin Haney could beat Tank.
Which could be true, which could be a lie.
It could be.
Yeah.
He could just be messing with.
Yeah, because also Logan Paul said that Kevin Owens, the WWE wrestler, hits harder than Floyd Mayweather. So this could also all be like a big lie.
Logan Paul's a retard, bro.
But he knows what he's doing. It's obviously not true, but he knows if he says that, he's going to create a reaction. So.
Yeah, no, Logan Paul's an idiot. But, I mean, the money will be there. Trust me. They're going to... I don't know when, but that fight has to happen. That's like I feel like that's the Pacquiao-Mayweather fight of this era, And
it'll be bigger than the first one, too.
Oof, massive. Because now he beat Haney. It'll be at a higher weight class.
Yeah.
It'll be big for sure. I think so. It's such a chess match. People think boxing and fighting it's all like this physical stuff. No, bro. It's such a chess match. I enjoy that. The chess match, like strategizing against your opponent, your adversary. I heard a saying a long time ago. You're never nervous. You're only unprepared.
Yeah. Wow, that's a good quote.
Think about it. If you're prepared, why would you be nervous? You're ready for every situation that could pop up. Every single situation. It doesn't make any sense for you to be nervous. So that's ultimately what it comes up to. Practice. If you practice and you're prepared and you're ready, you won't be nervous. I can think of every moment where I've been nervous in my life, and it was I didn't have any preparation, or at least as much as I'd like to. But in the moments where I was like, yo, this will be fine. I'm good to go. I was prepared. People ask me all the time, how come you're not nervous? How are you not nervous when you go on your podcast? Because I've done this over 100. Well, we're approaching 100 episodes.
Yeah.
Mind you, I had a whole season in audio only, so I've been past 100 episodes. But 100 video with the studio, all that. Formal, 100 episodes. Now we're approaching. So why would I be nervous? I've done this so many times, I've lost count. With so many different people in English and Spanish. I've done 5 podcasts in a day.
Yeah.
So it's just a matter of preparation. You know what I mean? You have to be prepared. Being prepared is so important. We have a good friend of ours named Nick, and he's always talking about strategy and planning. And it gets old, and it does get annoying, but he's right. He's 100% right. What's your plan? Like, what's your strategy? All right, now you bet on yourself, right? Now you believe in what you're doing. Now, how are you going to get there? You know what I mean? Ryan Garcia had the strategy in place. He was like, I'm gonna throw this guy off. I'm gonna pretend I'm going crazy. I'm gonna drink like an animal. I'm gonna do all these crazy things to make him think that I'm just not mentally prepared for this fight and that he's gonna win very easily. And I'm gonna go in there and I'm gonna destroy him because he's just gonna be like, oh, this is gonna be an easy fight, and I'm gonna catch him off guard. You gotta have a plan, bro. The plan, the strategy behind that confidence. When you put those two things together, it's a dangerous individual.
Mm-hmm.
Can you imagine what the world would look like if Christopher Columbus didn't have a map? Like, how different would history be if he just went out there and he was like, oh, yeah. Mind you, that story is crazy. He was like this broke, wannabe explorer that had never really done anything with his life. And then he just wouldn't give up on this idea of the new world, of sailing. They were supposed to go to the Indies, and then he ended up finding the new world. Bro, he just had this belief, like, I can find this place, or I can go to these places and accomplish great things, and until it got all the way up to the queen, bro, the Queen of Spain.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and she believed in him, and she's like, all right, I'll give you the money you need. And then he didn't make it to the Indies. He made it to unconquered territory, and he became immortal. He did something that he'll be remembered, whether for better or worse, whether you like him or not. Christopher Columbus will be remembered forever.
Mm-hmm.
Forever. Because of that conviction. He believed in himself so much that he wouldn't quit until somebody with power and leverage and money believed in him and would support him in this journey, and that's exactly what happened. What would life look like if Christopher Columbus didn't have a map? He probably would have died at sea.
Probably.
He almost did. Probably. You know what I mean? So, preparation. It's so important. It's nuts. Elijah, closing thoughts?
I would say one more thing about the a potential, hopefully one day, Ryan Garcia versus Tank, and why I would think Ryan would win. It's because, unlike Tank, Ryan already lost. So it's more of a, I already lost the thing that I held true, which was a perfect record.
Right.
He doesn't have that anymore. Tank does. So it's more of a risk on Tank because it's like, I could lose my perfect record to a guy who already knows how I fight.
And I got beat.
Yeah. So it's like, so hopefully one day we get to see that fight. I probably don't think it'll happen in the next, 2 years. I feel like
that's what Ryan Garcia said.
Yeah, they're going to go to 30 and something, both of them. And maybe if the money's there, it'll happen. Because people are still waiting for KSI versus Jake Paul. And that was supposed to happen 4 years ago. So, I don't know.
That's pretty wild.
But yeah. Hopefully one day.
So if you think about it, right, the person who has everything to lose there is Tank. Ryan Garcia's got nothing to lose. He already lost to Tank.
Yeah.
So the stars really have to align for Ryan Garcia. But it's just such a good what are we going full circle the story, bro?
Yep.
What a good story. Ryan Garcia comes back, beats Devin Haney, destroys him after doing all these antics and all this stuff. And then 2 years, he fights again and again. He beats all these guys. And then after they're both 30-0 or whatever, or 30-1 in Ryan Garcia's case, they fight again. All these circumstances line up. They do the rehydration clause.
Yeah.
They do the right weight class so Ryan Garcia has a real shot. And then Ryan Garcia knocks him out, bro. Can you imagine that? It's a great story.
Yep.
It's very possible. Let's see if it happens. Anyway, guys, as always, push it to the limit. The world is yours. If you're not chasing your dream, life is meaningless. Say goodnight to the bad guy.